Welcome into another edition of Cavs and Coffee. Jason Lloyd, Mikey McNuggets coming at you. And Jason, we thought we were going to come into today's show and have another Cavaliers win to talk about. Bull was positive on UCSS yesterday.
What makes you so sure about that?
They just beat the Minnesota Timberwolves on Saturday. We were feeling good about some of the progress they were making. We had talked about the fact that they may finally be turning the corner. And then they lose to the Utah Jazz in a game that is simply inexcusable, an effort that is inexcusable. Kenny Atkinson said post-game, and I know you weren't there, but I was, Jason, that they were mentally bullied, basically. They knew Utah wanted to come out and prove they weren't as bad as the curb stomping they took just the night before. And they came out hungry, aggressive. The Cavs laid down and basically took it from Utah, and that is not a championship caliber habit. We're going to dive into all the midseason grades because the Cavs are now at officially the midway point of the season. But real quick, we'll spend 5 minutes on it. We'll spend more time on the actual UCSS show coming up at 11 a.m. But Jason, it's an inexcusable loss for a Cavaliers team that needs to start stacking together good performances and get rid of things like we saw last night.
I mean, Bull sat there and admonished me on the show yesterday for not being more positive about this team. And then they went and did that. So their harshest critic, they finally got him to come around. And 8 hours later,
he jinxed them.
They play to the level of their competition. They do things that young teams should not do, or they do things that veteran teams should not do. They play like a young team. And it's really disappointing. I think Kenny's done everything he can to sort of light a fire under these guys at times. And, you know, one thing that drives me crazy across all sports is when guys play well, they get all the credit. When they don't, the coach takes all the blame. I've never understood that because these are grown men, these are professionals. It should not take another grown man to motivate you to get you excited to play. And last night was inexcusable. You can't lose that game at home. And we're done talking about injuries. We're done talking about, like, they're relatively healthy now, except for Max. And there's really no excuse to be losing games like this. I said before, I think they're bored. I think they're playing like a team that thinks they've accomplished a whole lot more in life than what they have. They haven't accomplished anything. They're a second-round team. Yeah. So what? What good is what? You don't get a medal for a second-round playoff team. And the way they're playing right now, they'll be lucky to get to the second round.
Yeah, it was one of the ugliest starts to a basketball game, Jason, I can ever remember. Not just from Cavaliers standpoint, but like just basketball in general. I've seen high school boys, girls, middle school boys, girls. I've seen my little cousin's 7th grade basketball team look better in the first couple of minutes than we saw Cleveland look last night. They got down 19-4. They had more turnovers than shot attempts. It was just frankly unacceptable from an offensive standpoint. They came out flat. And what disappointed me most, and then I promise after this we'll pivot to the season grades because that's the main point of today's show. They find themselves in a hole just like they found themselves in a hole against Minnesota Thursday. Not the game they won, the game they ended up losing, right? And against Minnesota, Jason, they fought their way back and they actually took the lead and had a lead and had it as a close game essentially heading to the fourth quarter. Well, last night they outscored Utah 40-20 in the second. For as bad as the first quarter was, Jason, the second quarter was equally as good, if not even better. And coming out of the halftime break, the Cavaliers are now up. They had essentially just squashed Utah. Utah's grasping to their last final breath before they had a chance to put them away, right? And guess what happened? Utah starters against Cleveland starters going a 14-0 run, bring themselves right back into this game, and then Cleveland never recovered. So they had a chance to squash the bug, put an end to Utah, cruise to an easy victory. And they did not and were not and have not been able to capitalize on those opportunities. And instead of cruising to an easy win last night, Jason, they were forced to play Donovan, Darius, Evan, Jarrett, their main guys, in high leverage minutes down the stretch in a loss to Utah. Talk about just a wasted opportunity all around. It was disappointing. The players were disappointed. Kenny was disappointed. Donovan was asked, are you getting tired of reiterating some of these same messages? And he just said, it looked Ethan Sands who asked the question. Shout out to my boy Ethan. Right in the eye and said, yeah.
I mean, how many times have I told you we've just come on here and we've just done the same show over and over and over. We've done the same for the last 6-7 weeks. We've done the same show. And it's funny because when last season ended, remember being in the media room when they lost to Indiana. Was it you? It might have been you, where we were talking about like next year's going to be miserable. Like, what are we going to talk about?
It was you and me.
Remember that? We're like,
Mm-hmm.
what are we going to talk about? What are we going to write about? Sorry, my laptop's over here. That's why I keep looking over here. I got to look at the camera. And I thought, something will happen. Like, well, it'll be fine. There'll be storylines. No, there's not. It's the same team. It's the same issues. And it's just purgatory. It's Groundhog Day. We're living the same day over and over and over with this team. And we're doing the same shows. And I'm writing the same articles. And we're just basically staring at the clock, waiting for April to get here. And, you and I have both preached patience for this whole season. We're not going to kill him. We're not going to kill him. We're not going to kill him. There's time. Remember the Pacers. Remember January. Well, it's January. And I'm tired of having the same conversations about this team. But this is why I said on the show yesterday, like, no, I'm not ready to buy into this team. Yeah, they had a great win against Minnesota. And then they followed up by putting their shoes on the wrong feet against a team that they should have blown out at home. So you can't take this team seriously until they take themselves seriously and prove that they're ready to go. And they're not at that point yet, obviously.
We're going to do something we haven't done before, Jason. I'm not even supposed to do a FanDuel read, but because we don't have any other reads today, I'm going to do a FanDuel read. Shout out to FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. If you're not using FanDuel, when you bet, you're missing out. Head over to FanDuel.com, FanDuel.com/UCSS. Your choice. Use America's #1 sportsbook. Jason, you said you're tired of the same old stories, the same old topics. Well, this is something we have not done yet because we were unable to do. Because you can't give out midseason grades until the Cavaliers actually reach the midseason point.
Oh, and right now, God, we're halfway through the death march.
Yep, they are 22-19, which significantly below anyone's projection of this squad. And we're going to go down the roster. We'll spend more time on certain players. We'll spend less on others we agree with. But we're going to go down top to bottom and grade every player that's played a realistic amount of minutes this year for the Cleveland Cavaliers. A to F, the grading system, Jason. Let's start with Donovan Mitchell, who is currently averaging 29.8 points per game, 4.7 rebounds, 5.6 assists this season, while shooting just under 50% from the floor, 49.5%, and 38.5% from beyond the arc. What grade would you give Donovan Mitchell?
Hey, it's easy. He's the only one that's, I guess Jaylen Tyson as well, but Donovan's the only one who's been counted on to carry heavy load, who has met the burden. And we heard about that going back to September. He's in the greatest shape of his life, that whole thing. And we got to pull the reins back on him. And I kind of rolled my eyes at, no, it's true. And I'll go back to what we talked about at the end of last season. He's the only one that is obsessed with winning. Mm-hmm. And the only one on this team who is completely consumed by trying to win a championship. I don't think anybody else is. And I think we have the evidence now, 41 games in, that shows it. So he's done everything that's asked of him. His numbers have been terrific. Career year shooting. He's been everything they could have hoped for out of him. That's the easiest one. He's an A.
Yeah, he's an A. We'll keep it short. Of all the Cavaliers guys that you expected to at least play to a certain level, he's the only one that has exceeded it. And we'll talk about the other members of the core four in a second. But Donovan has been everything you could have asked for and then some. And I'll refer to what Kenny Atkinson said pregame yesterday as the bona fide, undisputable reason why Donovan Mitchell gets an A. Kenny was asked by a member of the Utah media just what's his biggest impression of Donovan, how he's improved the most this year. And Kenny talked about A, his leadership, and B, he goes, listen, we're 22-18. This was prior to the game last night. We have 4 or 5 more losses if it wasn't for Donovan Mitchell. Like, we have come into the locker room as a coaching staff and said, sure, lucky we got 45 on our team tonight because we don't win that game without him. The Cavs are barely staying afloat with Donovan having a career year. He's a lock to be an all-star. In my opinion, he should be an all-NBA first-team player based on how he's playing for the second straight year. But he has elevated his game to a level with an efficiency, Jason, that I wasn't quite sure was possible. He's proven me wrong, and watching him play on a night-to-night basis has been nothing short of a joy. So
this is his 4th year here, and the Cavs are still playing wait for Donovan to bail us out basketball. Like, that's kind of stunning to me because I thought that they were making pretty good strides and moving away from that. No, we're right back there, right back where they started. I talked about I thought Evan had to be the main piece this year. Not even close to that. Nope. And I still think that in theory would have been their best way to win. But you can't ask a guy to do what he's not capable of doing. And clearly he's not capable of doing that. So now we have somehow found ourselves back to watching Donovan trying to bail them out more nights than not. And it's just with the amount of money that they've spent on this payroll, with as top heavy it is, with the 4 All-Stars, I just can't believe that we're back there, but we're back there.
Let's go to Evan Mobley next. Jason, I'll start on this one. I think you and I, as a tandem, may have been higher on Evan Mobley and more optimistic about his ceiling and his potential than any other Cavs media tandem in the city. And he took a gigantic step forward last year. We still thought there was more to his game, and it's frankly been disappointing. Evan hasn't been bad. He's been bad comparatively to what we expected, so I can't give him anything higher than a C, Jason. I can't. He's still, despite the fact that he's having a down year, he's still averaging 18 points per game, 8.5 rebounds, which, by the way, I know it sounds low and he should be averaging more, Jason. He's top 15 in the league in rebounds per game, which is crazy. Just fewer and fewer guys are grabbing that high volume of rebounds. 8.6, currently ranked 16th in the NBA as of this morning. He's shooting over 50% from the floor, but his three-point efficiency has gone down. His free throw efficiency has catered. I thought he would take step forwards as a creator, a ball handler, a playmaker. The Cavs tried to give him those reins early, then pulled it back like 6 games into the season because the results just weren't there. And for somebody who was as high on Evan Mobley as anybody, he just hasn't been that good this season compared to what you expect. And on the flip side, and maybe the silver lining here, even in a down year for Evan Mobley, Jason, a C year, he's kind of in that fringe all-star conversation, like for that 12th, 13th spot. I don't think he'll make it the all-star team this year, but he's in the conversation. And if a down bad year for Evan Mobley is fringe all-star conversation, you know he's a pretty damn good player. But considering the expectations, I can't break myself to give him a grade anything higher than a C.
See, I'm going to give him a B because I'm going to give him a B because he's not meeting what I had hoped he would reach, but he's still a really good player. And his shooting's down a little bit. His three-point shooting's down a little bit. Actually, I think his defense is down a little bit this year. Just
his free throws are down. The free throws, the inexcusable.
Free throws are miserable. Yeah, it is. But he's still a very, very, very good player. And so I feel like I've done this. I have heaped what I think he should be onto him when maybe that's just it's becoming more evident that he's not who I wanted him to be and who I thought he could be. But that's not fair to hold my expectation on him when he's already a really good player. Does that make sense? So I still think he's an excellent player. I think he's a key piece to what they do. I think they would be in a whole lot of trouble if he went down for 4 or 6 weeks. I think he'd be in a lot of trouble. So I'm still going to give him a B, but he has not met the expectation that I wanted for him, just in terms of, hey, if they're going to win a championship, he's going to have to be the one that gets them there. Yeah, that is pretty much over. But you still have to take into account all the things that he's really, really, really good at. And I just feel like we keep overlooking what he's really, really good at because we want more. And more may not be in there. And if this is what he is, then this is what he is. And I still think that's a really good player. So I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I don't want to hold my expectation against what he actually is.
We kind of split the difference. So you're giving him based on just what we saw. And I agree. Based on what he's actually produced on the court, it probably is a B. Like I said, he's a fringe all-star this year in a down season, which is a testament to how good Evan Mobley is and can be. I'm more giving him a C just because I thought there was going to be another jump, Jason, and it's more disappointment and it may be my expectation. So I can't bring myself to give him anything higher than that because he's regressed from where he was last year. You know what I mean? And it hasn't even been massive regressions, but he did not take any leap forward in terms of being a three-point shooter. He's gotten worse from the three-point line, and he looks less confident than he did last year. They put the ball in his hands to create more, especially early in the season when Darius was out. I thought he had the capability to do so. Maybe he still does. He didn't execute it at a high enough level for the Cavs to feel confident continuing to give him those opportunities. So maybe it's a C+, maybe I split the difference, but he just hasn't played to the expectation I had for Evan. And you and I both said if they're going to win a championship, it's because Evan takes another leap forward and becomes a bona fide, certified, undisputed top 10 player, top 12 at worst player in the NBA. And if anything, he ended last season, Jason, in that 16 to 19 range. Yeah. And I think guys have passed him, and he's taken a step back this year. So that's why I go with a C. But if you want to go B because of what the actual on-court performance is, I don't disagree with you. I think I'm just weighing my expectations more than you are in this situation. Yeah. What about Darius Garland here, Jason? He's played in and out of the lineup. He has not played nearly as many games as the other members of the Big Three. His numbers on the season, he's played 24 games, so he's missed 17. He's averaging 17.5 points per game, 2.4 rebounds, 6.9 assists, about 3 turnovers, so a 2.5 to 1 assist to turnover ratio. He's got his field goal percentage up to 45% from the floor, 35% from beyond the arc. He's been better lately, but what would you give the overall first season grade here to Darius Garland?
I think he's been hurt pretty much the entire first half of the season here. I think he's played through a lot, but you have to go off what the work shows. So, I mean, I got to give him a C- just because I think he's regressed defensively. And again, maybe that's the toe. He was never good. Now he's worse. Hasn't shot it well at all. 3-point shooting is down. It might be the worst of his career. It's down around the lowest numbers of his career in terms of percentages. C- might be being kind, but I am trying to take into account that he's been hurt and he hasn't been playing well. But, I think this toe has lingered a lot longer than certainly than I thought that it would at the start of the season. I thought we'd miss a couple weeks at the start and come back and everything should be okay after that. So I'm a little surprised that it's hampered him as much as it has. Hopefully we get to the point where it doesn't, but with these games coming night after night after night, I don't know. I do think he's looked better the last week or so than he had previously, but he's a C- to me. He's a liability defensively, and the things that he has to do, he hasn't been able to do consistent enough this season.
Yeah, he's been much better in January for what it's worth. And in January, his scoring is up to 20.7 points per game. He's shooting 53% from the floor, 35% from beyond the arc, 7 assists to just 2 turnovers. So his assist-to-turnover ratio has gotten better in the last couple of months. I thought he had his best game of the season against Minnesota on Saturday. He was okay last night against Utah. He wasn't the biggest reason they lost, but he was not good by any means. I give him a C just like Evan. And I give him a little more leeway because of the injury. But this is a toe injury that happened at the end of last season. Like, this is not a recent thing. And what frustrates, upsets, I don't know what the right word is, Jason. What annoys me the most of this is I don't know how it gets better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm worried that this is just, it is what it is. And he's going to have moments like we saw on Saturday against Utah where he had Rudy Gobert on skates and looked like the old all-star, all-NBA caliber point guard that the Cavaliers signed to a rookie max extension. And then you have other nights where he doesn't seem to be able to create the space and the separation that's needed. And I was talking to somebody last night on my way home from the game, Jason. As a receiver gets older, and this is someone who's a football comparison because everyone knows football a little better. Like, you have Larry Fitzgerald, for example, who was awesome till the end because he was so physical and so talented. And even when he couldn't create separation in and out of his breaks on the routes, he was still able to be an effective receiver just because he had the physical traits to dominate.
Yeah.
Darius is like a little slot receiver compared to a 6'3", 215-pound outside X threat like a Larry Fitzgerald. And if he's not creating the space and the separation on the routes, those slot receivers don't really have a plan B. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they have that certain role. And we go Wes Welker, for example. Like when Wes Welker, once he started getting banged up, like he was out of the league pretty damn quickly. It was like elite for a little bit, but then was forgotten. And if Darius can't create that separation, if he doesn't have that stop-start, that elite balance where he can get big men to freeze and then blow by them and then get them leaning backwards so he can get a step back and then if he doesn't have all that working for him, he's still a good player, but he's not an elite player. He's not a player that plays like a max player, like he's being paid. And in the second apron era, you need your max players to play like max players, Jason. Right. I don't mean to sound rude or discouraging. Like everyone should get their money and good for Darius, but you can't have max players not playing like max players. And right now, Jason, we just mentioned 2 of the 3 Cavs max players. who've gotten C's or B's. That ain't good enough.
Yeah. And with Darius, it feels like from the time he signed that max deal until now, it feels like the league has changed. And I don't know that I know he's not getting a max. Like if he was up this summer, he's not a max player anymore. To me, he's not. But they still owe him $100 million over the next 2.5 years. And it just feels like the league has gotten a lot longer, a lot more athletic, a lot more giants who can shoot and do more multiple things than and when they signed him to that deal, they kind of had to. We talked about that before. Like it was just that was what the market was, and he was playing well, and his trajectory was pointing up, and he was going to get it. It's sort of like paying quarterbacks in the NFL.
You got to pay it.
You got to pay him, but he has not. The deal has not worked out for the Cavs. And now they're sort of stuck. So, and probably with the next guy that we're going to, it's sort of the same story.
All right. Well, next guy is Jarrett Allen. So you could just continue talking, Jason. But Jarrett Allen, 14 points, basically 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 59% from the floor. What grade do you give Jarrett, who's also missed a decent chunk of games this year?
He's a C. He's a C for me. He's just he is what he is. I think he's regressed a little bit this year. There are nights where it feels like he is a tent pole to what they do defensively, and there's nights where it feels like he doesn't make much of an impact at all. And I never really thought that before. I felt before like, yes, he's a liability on offense or he's a non-shooting big, but defensively he's sort of an anchor back there. And toward the end of last season, I just sort of soured a little bit on what they were trying to do. I said in the offseason, that's the guy I would have moved after last year. I think that they were sort of hamstrung with where they were at salary-wise. There's just not a lot of deals to make. And that's why I keep saying I kind of think they are who they are. I'll be curious to see how they enter the deadline, what they do. We just saw Atlanta's approach with Trae Young. I don't know if these guys would do something like that or not, where they just dump money. But that would be, if you're going to dump money, that would be one of the guys that you're circling as a dump. He's okay. Like he cleans up all around the glass offensively at times. He is a focal point to what they do defensively. Sometimes it just feels like they're just not getting a lot out of him. And Kenny has sort of made it clear he's gone stretches where he isn't even playing in the fourth quarter. So Kenny's telling you what he thinks about Jarrett Allen.
Yeah, I gave him a C for consistently inconsistent, and it's not even his fault necessarily. It's just his minutes are yo-yoed around. The Cavs have a core 4 with 2 7-footers, essentially, 2 bigs, but they don't utilize the strengths, in my opinion, of the 2 bigs, right? Like Kenny doesn't close with 2 bigs. If you're going to have 2 bigs, you better be a damn good rebounding team. And the way you play defense would be to funnel your perimeter guys into the paint where they meet these 2 bigs. And they've kind of gone away from that defensive philosophy, which is what JB Bickerstaff kind of established when he was here. And offensively, if you have 2 bigs, you got to punish teams that are smaller and utilize that size. And the Cavs like to play a dribble drive, space, pace, shoot threes kind of offense that doesn't fit a 2-big motto. To your point, Jarrett Allen looks awesome some nights. Some nights he's their most important player on the floor. Other nights he puts up these tour dates and you're like, did Jarrett play? Do you remember a single impact moment Jarrett had? And he was awesome against Minnesota, and he was not good last night against Utah. And it just goes to show it doesn't matter who you are. If you're not named Donovan Mitchell, you probably have not been consistent enough for the Cavaliers this season. And I gave him a C, and that means 3 of the 4 core 4 members, Jason, they got C's, or there was 1 B. Between the 6 grades, between everyone not named Donovan in the core 4, there are 5 C's and a B. And that does not sound too out of the craziness, or does not seem too shocking considering the team's just 3 games over 500 midway through the season. We got a couple good ones coming up, some grades that aren't C's, but before we get to that, we do have to talk about the next highest paid player on the team, and that is DeAndre Hunter, Jason. And you go first, but I'm gonna maybe throw a grade out depending on what you say, because I don't know if I have the balls to say what I really think it should be.
I mean, D-. He's a D- to me. He's been a flop this year. It has not worked out. I had high expectations for him coming in. I thought, I said all along, I thought he should have been the starter, and it did not work at all. And you look at him and you think there's a lot more to get out of him. And then you watch him play for the extended stretch. And last year was great after he fit right in after the trade deadline. But you watch him this year and you go, all right, well, I see why Atlanta wanted to move on. And I see why Atlanta was trying to create a little cap flexibility and why the price wasn't overly. We were last year like, oh my goodness, I can't believe they didn't have to give up Jaylen Tyson. They didn't have to, And now you watch him play a little bit longer, you go, okay, I kind of get it now. So it's just been he just leaves you wanting more for his frame, for his length, for everything that he gives you. I had different players' numbers in front of me. I'm sure you got his numbers. I don't even know. 14.3.
Yeah, so
31%. He shot 41% last year, so 3-point percentage is way down.
Way down. Way down, yeah.
It just you look at him and you think there's a lot more in there, and they're just not getting it out of him.
So my initial gut was like, it's a D, maybe even an F.
Mm-hmm.
But back to your Mobley point, I had to balance expectations versus the actual production. When you look at the numbers, like 14.3 points is essentially his career average. The average is 14.7 for his. This is the scorer he's been.
Yeah.
He ain't shooting below his career average from the floor. It's 45% for his career. It's 43% this year. It's way below in 3-point percentage. 37 for his career. He's at 30.6 right now. So way below in terms of efficiency. Defensively is where the real drop-off's been. He has not been anywhere near the caliber of stopper the Cavaliers thought they were acquiring when they traded for him from Atlanta last season. Everyone said the Cavs needed a big wing stopper, right?
Yeah.
Well, their wing stopper right now is still Sam Merrill, despite the fact that they have DeAndre Hunter on the team. It's still Jaylen Tyson, despite the fact they traded for DeAndre Hunter. Flash to reality. Those two players were on the team last year before they traded for DeAndre Hunter. So they didn't actually solve that particular issue with the trade. I give him a D, Jason. I feel bad because I'm kind of contradicting myself with Mobley here, where the production's better than what the expectation was. But he's in and out of the lineup. He's going through shooting slumps. There are nights where you don't even know he played. Just like Jarrett Allen. Like last night, DeAndre Hunter played 17 minutes. I don't remember seeing him on the court, Jay. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't remember any kind of impact he made on the court. And people were asking Kenny about DeAndre, and we asked Donovan, and they just said, hey, we got to be positive. We got to keep up his spirits. He's going through a shooting slump right now. He'll snap out of it. But it's 41 games. It's a pretty damn long shooting slump, right? And
yeah.
He has a role on this team because if Ken doesn't want to close with Jarrett Allen, he's kind of has to close with DeAndre Hunter. But DeAndre Hunter hasn't played well enough to justify sitting Jarrett Allen in these moments. It's a dilemma for Kenny Atkinson, and they got to figure out a way to get one of those two to kind of fit into and play up to their standards in a closing lineup to have any chance of making a playoff run. But DeAndre, unfortunately, I don't know how you give anything higher than a D right now. I don't know.
He is the single most disappointing player on this team, as far as I'm concerned. Darius, we talked about it, the toe. Evan, it was expectations. Jarrett, he is who he is. DeAndre is the one guy that I had who I think has fallen below expectations more than everyone. And maybe you're right. This is who he is, and these are his career numbers, but it just felt like watching him last year in the system, it felt like it was a perfect fit. It felt like there was an opportunity to unlock more in there because we saw it. And that's why I guess I'm being a little bit harsher on him, because like with Evan, it's like we thought there was another leap in there, and okay, there's not, but he's still a really good player. And yeah, his 3-point is down a little bit, but not like DeAndre. And it feels like if there's a little bit of slippage with Evan, it's minimal. And it was more the expectation that I was putting on him for take yet another leap. With DeAndre, there is no leap. He's absolutely collapsed. And to me, he's just the most disappointing player.
Let's get to at least some positives here. How about Jaylen Tyson, the Cavs' second-year standout who has taken a massive leap forward as an offensive player? Jason, this season he's averaging 12.8 points, 5.3 rebounds, 1.9 assists, 1 steal, half a block, and is shooting, drumroll please, 51.6% from the floor and 45.1% from beyond the arc. Jason, if you give him anything other than an A, I may jump through the screen and fight you.
C-. No. Yeah, no, Jalen's an A. Jalen's an easy A because maybe he's benefiting from low expectations. We didn't really know what to expect. He had minimal role last year, took advantage of the minutes that he got. He knew he was going to have more of an opportunity this year, and he has exceeded, I think, everybody's expectations. He's the one guy who I think he's got some dog in him, and I don't know that you can say that about some of the other guys on that roster, but he does, and he's not afraid to speak his mind. I've been really impressed with him. I think he's an important piece to what they're doing. And again, he's sort of a guy that they've done a nice job. Like that lower first round, when you got lower first round picks, it's hard, man. It's hard. A lot of those guys bounce around from team to team. They're out of the league in 3 or 4 years, 5 years, whatever. And it's hard to find, especially on good teams. It's hard to find impact guys. And the Cavs have done a nice job of filling out that middle to lower half of the roster with great constraints. It's the top half of the roster that you have the questions about. But Jaylen's been a home run.
Jaylen has been out of this freaking world. Jason, out of every player in the NBA right now, every player who's taken at least 93 pointers this season, guess where Jaylen Tyson ranks among the most efficient and accurate three-point snipers?
Oh, wow. I don't know.
And 90s, for example, Jaylen Tyson's taken 144. So, he's seventh. He's seventh in the NBA right now in three-point percentage, Jason. Seventh from beyond the arc. 45.1% from three. 65 of 144. The only players higher. Are you ready for this? Max Christie of Dallas. Sam Merrill, who we're going to get to in a second. Cam Spencer, Tari Eason, Bobby Portis, and Luke Kennard. Of all the, and I don't want to call him a high volume. He's not high volume, but he's a volume three-point shooter.
Yeah.
The seventh most accurate shooter from beyond the arc this season. He's the Cavs' arguably best and/or second best perimeter defender right now. You want to count third because Dean Wade? Sure, you count Dean Wade, but when Kenny needs to stop, he's putting Jaylen Tyson, Dean Wade, or Sam Merrill on somebody. We can argue, is that good enough to win a championship? Discussion for a different day. That's the deck that Kenny's been dealt, and Tyson has stepped into that role. He's a little aggressive. Can still cut back on his fouling. They do call him Hacky Chan for a reason, even though he's gotten much better in the second half, at least in the last 20 games in terms of cutting that back. But he's found a way to fit in. He's an energy guy. He's averaging 5 rebounds in just over 20 minutes per game. Like, he's found ways to impact, despite the fact that he's playing essentially a very different role than he played in his final year at Cal, where he was the primary ball handler, decision maker, playmaker. Now he's just fitting in alongside different guys, Jason, and has been everything you could ask for, and then some. He's been accountable with the media. He's called guys out. I don't know, and no one gets an A+ for the Cavs, in my opinion, because they're 22-19. I just couldn't get myself to give anyone an A+. Him and Donovan, in my opinion, are the two top of the class, and it's not close. Don's probably valedictorian, and Jaylen's probably the salutatorian. But if you wanted to argue based on expectations that Jaylen should be number one right now, I'd have a hard time disagreeing.
Yeah, let's keep going because there's a theme, I think, that we're building.
Well, let's start with Sam. I just mentioned Sam Merrill, Jason. I'll start with Sam Merrill. That's my guy. Everyone knows I'm a big Sam Merrill fan. He gets an A- for me, and it would be an A if he did not get hurt and miss as many games. I just don't think I could give him an A when he's missed. He's only played, in 22 games. So he's missed basically half the first half, so I can't give him an A. When he's played, he's been really good. I just mentioned the three-point efficiency. Sam this season has taken 176 threes, Jason. He's shooting 46% from beyond the arc. He set a new Cavaliers franchise record that was snapped last night with the most consecutive games with 5 or more made threes. He had 4 straight games of that before last night. Just an impressive feat. He's become one of their better, if not best, perimeter defenders. He fits in with the starting lineup. The issue with Sam is he gets caught in these lineups where he's playing small forward. Sam Merrill's not a small forward, guys. Trust me. Sam is not a 3. He plays the 3 out of necessity based on some of the lineups and some of the injuries the Cavs have been dealt with. But Sam Merrill is a 2. Sam Merrill is not a 3. He can play the 3 in tiny stretches against certain opponents. He is not a 3. Sam would get an A if he played 35 games and had the same efficiency, Jason, but I give him an A- just because it's only been 22 games. But Sam has not been the issue for the Cavs this season. He's been worth every penny of that 4-year, $36 million extension and then some, frankly.
Yeah, he's an A for me. I'm not going to hold the injuries against him. Darius got dinged because of what the product that he's put on the floor. I know he's playing through some things, but we have to judge him based on his work. And I'm going to hold Sam the same way. And if you judge him based on his work has been tremendous. And we've talked before about they sort of had a choice to make between Ty and Sam. Ty was their preference. Contract negotiations sort of broke down, and they had to pivot to Sam. And Sam has delivered. everything that they could have wanted out of him. When a tremendous year shooting the ball, career high in scoring. He's not the swinging. He doesn't get picked on defensively as much as I thought that he would. When I watched him last year, I thought that he'd be a liability defensively, and he can't really play in big playoff moments because teams will attack him on the defensive end, and that's not true. So he's an A to me, and we just continue to build the case. I mean, I don't know how many more players you want to go through.
Yeah, we got 3 more, and we'll do these last 3 quick, Jason, because I think we're getting to the same overall end conclusion here. So real quick, we'll do 30 seconds each on the next 3 players. Craig Porter Jr.
He's a B to me. He's been very good at times. I think that they looked at him coming into the season as like, this is a really big year for him to show who he is. And if he can continue to sort of grow and if they can count on him, you know, I think there was questions over the summer of whether or not they could count on him. And I think he's answered them. He's not a star. He's a role player. And I think he's filled his role admirably. I was just looking real quick, 4.9 points, shooting 39% from 3. I mean, for the role that you're expecting him to give you, you know, again, a guy can only do what he's capable of doing. And I think he's given him everything he's got.
Yeah, I give him a B+. We're going to talk about Lonzo Ball in a second. And considering the lack of production that we've gotten from Lonzo, they've needed this from Craig. And he's still not a great offensive player. He's an excellent rebounder, Jason. He's a very good passer. He's not necessarily a great scorer. He's not a bad offensive player. He's a very good passer. Defensively, he has some highlight plays. He gets lost in some rotations. He's a little over-aggressive at times. But Kenny Atkinson trusted him to guard Ant Edwards for long stretches and start the game against Ant Edwards on Thursday last week against Minnesota. That's how much Kenny and his staff trust his on-ball defense. He's been everything you could ask for. I give him a B+. On the other hand, Lonzo Ball, it's a D, if not an F. Like, everything I hoped, anticipated, dreamed, we've talked about this at length, it just hasn't come to fruition, Jason. And in terms of Jaylen Tyson and Sam Merrill being the most efficient, Cavs snipers from beyond the arc, some of the most efficient three-point marksmen in the entire league, Lonzo Ball has been the single least efficient high-volume shooter in the league this year from beyond the arc. Like, dead last.
Go ahead. Last thing, I didn't hear. What's the last thing you said?
He's dead last in terms of high-volume three-point shooting efficiency. Dead last.
Yeah, he's an F for me, and I hate giving Fs. He's missed so much time the last couple of years. He was sort of the wild card coming in. I never had very high expectations for him. We've talked about it. I thought the trade was more for the contract than the player, and if they could get anything out of the player, all the better. But it was really a move to get the contract, and again, to try and clear some money after this season. And maybe that's something they can do with. Maybe other teams will be interested in that contract at the deadline, because it is $10 million non-guaranteed, so a team can clear out money next year. We'll have to wait and see. I just think injuries have overtaken him throughout his career, and I just don't think that there's a whole lot left there, unfortunately. Nice enough guy. I just don't think there's not much of an NBA player left in that body.
Real quick, Jason, I just looked this up. So I said he's the least efficient volume three-point shooter. Well, technically, he is not qualified anymore for what considered his volume, according to NBA.com. He hasn't played enough games. So you want to hear the 2 least efficient three-point shooters in the NBA that count with volume?
I'm not sure that I do, but go ahead.
Marcus Smart's dead last. 165 qualified three-point shooters. Marcus Smart dead last. DeAndre Hunter is second to last.
Oh, Lord.
So if you want to include Lonzo, they have 2 of the 3 least. If you don't want to include Lonzo, they have the second least. And last but not least, we got to give Naquan Tomlin some love here, Jason. He's played enough games. It's actually coming up on his 2-way contract decision. He can only be active for 50. He's played in 29 games this season. He was a big reason the Cavs were even quasi-competent and competitive down the stretch last night. Considering he's a 2-way guy and you're getting real rotational production from him, I guess an A- for me, man. You know what? Screw it. Naquan gets an A. Naquan's been awesome in the minutes he's played for the Cavs. He's getting better as a shooter. His energy is infectious. He plays like a rabid dog who hasn't eaten in 32 days. And if he doesn't get this steal or this rebound, he's going to die of hunger. I love watching Naquan. I like talking to Naquan. Naquan, to me, gets an A.
Yeah, he's a B for me. I have a hard time just giving him an A, and maybe that's just bias because he is a 2-way guy. He's he's been everything they could have asked out of him and more. And really the trend or the case that we've built is the issue with this team isn't the role players, it's the stars.
Yep.
And that is so unusual with this team, within this league. Like normally it's trying to find enough pieces to fill out the roster and you're secure at the top. And with this team, it's the exact opposite. It's the role players have more than held their own. It's the top end guys. It's the stars on this team that have not delivered.
It is nuts that we are still sitting here, Jason, on the 13th of January, and the Cavs role players, which were the big question marks coming into this season, have been the ones that have kind of kept them afloat. And it's the Cavs stars. It's the Cavs stars who have not been what the Cavs need them to be in order to be championship contenders. And big picture, pulling everything back real quick, when your stars don't play up to the caliber that they should, you're a middling team. And right now, the Cavs are a middling team, a play-in team, not a playoff team, a play-in team. And when 3 of your 4 highest paid players and 4 of your 5, if you want to include DeAndre Hunter, aren't living up to expectations, this is what happens. And yes, injuries play a role, but every team has injuries. Jalen Williams didn't play for the first 20 games for the Thunder. They've actually been worse since he's come back, but obviously it was unsustainable to go 19-1 over the course of the entire season. Every team's dealing with injuries. It's not an end-all, be-all excuse. Yes, it's the reality, and I'm not trying to pretend that they shouldn't and won't be better when Max Strus gets back and everyone kind of fits into their natural role in the rotation, but it's not an excuse that I'm willing to accept for losses like last night. Look at the starting lineups. Outside of Lauri Markkanen, you're taking the next 4 best players are all Cavs.
Yeah.
4 of the 5 best players out there. There's no excuse. And it's just getting frustrating, Jason. We're at the halfway point. I actually asked Kenny, like, hey, we're halfway through. Are you worried that some of these bad habits are kind of just seeping into your team's DNA? And he was a little frustrated last night, so didn't get like the greatest answer, but he was like, hey, it's the NBA, man. You're going to lose some bad games. It's a bad loss. We're not trying to hide from that. It happens. You know, look at the big picture. We've been playing better, but yeah, he's like, yeah, we just can't come into games mentally unprepared like we did tonight. And maybe that's a me thing, maybe that's a player thing, but these guys are getting paid almost $500,000 a game. Like, there's no reason to come in unprepared, unenthused. It's a home game too, guys. Like, I don't know. It's been disappointing, Jason, and I don't feel much better about it after 45 minutes of talking about grades because there's a lot more bad grades than good grades.
Still got a lot of basketball to play, half season to go. Hopefully they can start to figure this out and string together 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 consistently good games back to back to back.
All right, well, we're going to wrap it up here. We'll talk a little trade deadline stuff as we get closer to the deadline. Based on the Cavs' current cap situation, it's just really tough to talk about fake trade scenarios and what they can and can't do because with the second apron, man, they're strapped. It's really hard to make any kind of move that makes them better. And we get closer and closer. If the Cavs continue to play like this, then I think, Jason, they may hit the eject button a lot sooner than any of us expected. So we'll talk about trades when we get closer, but just I saw a bunch of comments asking, can they trade player XYZ? It's a lot harder than it thinks, and the return is not going to be anywhere near that makes you closer to being a championship team right now.
Look at that Trae Young trade. Keep that in mind when you're talking about Cavs and trades.
We got a great turnout this morning. We appreciate everyone for tuning in to a Cavs and Coffee. Jason Lloyd, Mikey McNuggets here. We will see you guys on UCSS in 2 hours and 15 minutes. Jason will see you on Friday. Until then, have a great day. Go Cavs. Peace.